Welcome, Wonder School friends, to day 3 of our virtual vacation. Today we are going to be visiting South America. And for your passport, if you want to put the stamps on there, we will be visiting Chile, Argentina, Peru, Colombia, and Brazil. So let's look at the books for each stamp. Along the Tapajos is for our Brazil stamp. Maria had a little llama is for our Peru stamp. Biblioburo is for our Colombia stamp. We have My Name is Gabriela, and this is for our Chile stamp. And we also have Abuelo, and this is for our Argentina stamp. So now let's talk about what you want to eat for lunch and what we have available today. So today, for our South American dishes, we have antichuchos, asado, arroz con chorizo, and we have caldillo de congrio. So I'm going to put some numbers up there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and let's talk about the animals. The animals that are in South America. We have the guanaco, the iguana, we have the sloth, and the capybara. So, I want you to think about which food would you like to order for lunch and which animal you would most like to see while we are traveling around South America. And then we are going to listen to the stories, and if you stay till the end, I'm going to reveal what I want to eat for lunch and what animal I most want to see. And let's see if they're the same. All right, let's get into our stories now. Maria Had a Little Llama by Angela Dominguez. And this says, everyone knows about Mary and her little lamb, but do you know Maria? With gorgeous Peruvian-inspired illustrations and English and Spanish retellings, Angela Dominguez gives a fresh new twist to the classic rhyme. Maria and her mischievous little llama will steal your heart. Maria had a little llama whose fleece was white as snow. And everywhere that Maria went, the llama was sure to go. And here is a map. And this says the Andes, those are mountains. And this says the Inca Trail and Cusco and Machu Picchu, which are places in Peru. He followed her to school one day. Oh, look, he's going that way. All the rest of the animals are going that way. Oh, do you see him in this picture? This is the school, escuela. And there he is, right over there. And there's Maria. That was against the rules. Uh-oh. It made the children laugh and play to see a llama at school. The teacher had to send him out. They got to get their schoolwork done. But still he lingered near and waited patiently about. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, noon, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. School's done. For Maria to appear. Yay, school's out. Why does the llama love Maria so? The eager children cried. Maria loves the llama, you know, the teacher did reply. The end. Fin. Biblioburo. A True Story from Colombia by Jeanette Winter. Deep in the jungles of Colombia, there lives a man who loves books. His name is Luis. As soon as he reads one book, he brings home another. Soon the house is filled with books. His wife, Diana, grumbles. What are we going to do? Eat books with our rice? Luis thinks long and hard. At last, an idea pops into his head. I can bring my books into the faraway hills to share with those who have none. One burro could carry books, and another burro could carry me. And more books. And burro is the Spanish word for donkey. Luis buys two sturdy little burros. He names them Alpha and Beto. He builds crates to hang on their backs and paints signs, Biblioburo, the burro library. Then Diana fills the crates with books. Every week, Luis and Alpha and Beto set across the countryside to faraway villages in the lonely hills. This week they travel to El Tormento. When the sun burns high in the sky, Luis and the burros stop at a stream to drink the cool water. After they have their fill, Beto balks. Luis pulls and pulls on Beto's reins, but Beto won't budge. The children are waiting for us. At last the burro gives in and steps across the stream. Phew! Oh no. Deep in the hills, the path is lonelier than ever. Bird songs are the only sounds they hear. Then, from deep in the shadows, a bandit leaps out. Please let us pass, Luis says. The children are waiting. The bandit scowls at the books, but he takes one and growls. Next time, I want silver. He says, give me your silver. The Biblioburo continues on its way over the hills until at last Luis sees houses below. The children of El Tormento run to meet him. Luis insists on reading a story before they choose books to borrow. Today I have a surprise for you, he says. He reaches behind the books and pulls out a bundle of masks. Little piglets, put on a mask, and I'll read you a tale about pigs. Do you know what this tale is? It's about 3 little pigs. I think you know that tale. There they are, the 3 little pigs and the big bad wolf. We heard that story too at Wonder School. When the story ends, it's time for everyone to choose a book. The children hold their books close as they say goodbye and walk home. Luis and Alpha and Beto head back over and around the hills, across the grasslands and streams, and into the sunset. At home, Luis feeds his hungry burros, and Diana feeds her hungry husband. But then, instead of sleeping, Luis picks up his book and reads deep into the night. And far away in the hills, candles and lanterns burn as the children read borrowed books deep into their night, too. And this is about Luis, and he really does exist. People around here love stories. I'm trying to keep that spirit alive in my own way. Luis Soriano. Biblioburo is based on the true story of Luis Soriano, who lives in La Gloria, a remote town in northern Colombia. An avid reader, Luis understands the transformative power of reading because of his experiences as a school teacher. He wanted to share his collection of books with the children and adults in the isolated villages in the distant hills, where books were scarce. Most houses had none. Can you imagine that? A house without books to read? Luis and his 2 burros began bringing books to the villages in 2000. He started with a collection of 70 books that has grown to over 4,800, mostly from donations. Now the Biblioburo travels to the hills every weekend. 300 people, more or less, look forward to borrowing the books Luis brings. A small corner of the world is enriched. Abuelo by Arthur Doros, illustrated by Raúl Colón. And this says, together a young boy and his abuelo, or grandfather, go camping, ride horses, get lost and found, and even confront a mountain lion. And when the boy's family moves to the city from the country, away from abuelo, it is his memories that help him adjust to his new life. And this boy's grandpa is a cowboy, and they ride the plains together. When I was little, abuelo and I would ride with the wind, el viento, washing our faces. We could ride anywhere. We would ride into the clouds with the sky, el cielo, wrapped around us. If it rained, abuelo showed me how to use my poncho to make my own house. Tu propia casa, he would say. At night, we could see forever. Mira, look, he would tell me, reaching his hands to the stars. Sometimes I'd get off the trail. Abuelo laughed. but not at me. That happens to everyone, he told me. Es bueno reírse. It is good to laugh, he said to me as we found the trail again. As we rode, he would say to his horse and me, Hablamos. We talk. To guide a horse, he did not use spurs. He could guide with a touch, or with how he leaned, or with his voice. He was gentle with his horses. When we met a mountain lion, Abuelo showed me how to stand. There are many ways to be strong. Fuerte, he said. We stood as strong as any mountain trees. While we rode on, Abuelo said, La pampa es ancha y somos libres. The plains are wide and we are free, he was telling me. But one day, my family told me we were moving to the city. No te preocupes. Don't worry, Abuelo told me. We could visit. On the way to the city, our bus bounced from here to there. I thought we might be lost. Perdidos. Then I remembered Abuelo's laugh, and I laughed. We were not lost. We arrived at our new home. At first, I could not see the stars, las estrellas. Then I saw one and another, and lights that were city stars, and I could almost see forever. On my first day of school, a bully jumped at me. I stood strong, fuerte, like a mountain tree. Little by little, I began to know the city. It was wide in different ways, like La Pampa. I talked with Abuelo, and we visited. He's talking on the phone to him. Now, even when I cannot see Abuelo, he always rides with me. My name is Gabriela. The Life of Gabriela Mistral by Monica Brown, illustrated by John Parra. Gabriela Mistral loved words and sounds and stories. Born in Chile, she would grow to become the first Nobel Prize-winning Latina woman in the world. As a poet and as a teacher, she inspired children across many countries to let their voices be heard. My name is Gabriela Mistral. It is a name I chose myself because I like the sound of it. I love words and sounds and stories. When I was a little girl, I lived with my mother and Emelina, my sister, in a small house in the beautiful Elqui Valley in Chile. From my bedroom window, I could see the Andes Mountains. When I couldn't sleep, I would look up at the mountains and wonder what could be beyond them. Zebras with polka dots? Rainbow-colored flowers? Angels reading books? I loved words. I liked the sounds they made rolling off my tongue, and I liked the way they could express how I felt. When I saw a butterfly fluttering, I noticed the way the words fluttering butterfly sounded together, like a poem. I taught myself to read so that I could read other people's words and stories. I read stories about princes and princesses, about witches and monsters, about birds and flowers. I also like to write poems, sing songs, and tell stories using the words that I knew. I told stories about happy times and sad times, about mothers and babies and little children. I liked to play school with the children of my village. I pretended to be the teacher, and my friends Sofia, Anna, and Pedro were my pupils. Pedro would always say that I was mean because I made him write his ABCs until he knew all the letters of the alphabet. But I told him that the alphabet is important. How else could he create words and tell his stories without it? In our pretend class, we sang songs like, "The baby chicks are saying, peep, peep, peep. It means they're cold and hungry. It means they need some sleep." That was Sophia's favorite song. During recess, we had fun running and chasing and laughing and playing. When I grew up, I became a real teacher and writer. I taught the children of Chile, and many of my students became teachers themselves. I still write poems, happy poems, sad poems, stories of mothers and children, but I also wrote poems about animals, about parrots and peacocks, and even rats. I also traveled to faraway places. I never saw zebras with polka dots or rainbow-colored flowers, but I met wonderful children and their teachers. I traveled to Europe, to France and Italy. I traveled to Mexico. I traveled to the United States. Everywhere I went, I wrote and taught and met teachers. I saw how all over the world people wanted their children to learn. My stories traveled the world with me. People like to read my happy stories, my sad stories, my stories of women and children, my stories of parrots and peacocks, of old lions and of fisher folk who slept in the sand and dreamt of the sea. And because people from all over the world loved my stories so, I was given a very special prize, the Nobel Prize for Literature. When I accepted the grand award, I thought of the beautiful mountains outside my window in Chile, of my mother and sister, of the children of my village, and of all the stories that still need to be told. And here is a little biography about Gabriela Mistral. Along the Tapajos by Fernando Vilela, translated by Daniel Hahn. And this says, Kawa and Ine are a brother and sister who live in a small community along the Tapajos River in Brazil. Here the homes are on stilts, and everyone travels around by boat, even to school. When the rainy season comes, they must leave their village and relocate to higher ground for a while. We always wake up real early. We have banana porridge for breakfast, and when we hear the motor of Zay's boat in the distance, we grab our knapsacks and race over to the ladder. It's time to go to school. Bye, Pa. Bye, Ma. Bye, Titi. Titi is our giant tortoise. Living on the bank of a river is amazing because on the way to school, there are so many animals. Me and Zay love playing with the alligators. Zay says there are lots of big creatures under the water that we don't even see, and that they hang around real close to us, just waiting for someone to jump in. When the porpoises appear, Ine makes a big fuss about them, and they leap around and put on an amazing show. The boat takes us across the whole village. Is there some kind of celebration at the church tomorrow? I ask Zay. Yes, he answers. There are going to be 8 weddings. The priest has come up from the city, and he's only staying 2 days. Finally, we get to school. This says the Rainforest School. At the end of class, the sky turns dark. Winter's come, somebody shouts. Here in the state of Pará, we only have 2 seasons, summer and winter. In summer, it's very sunny, it's very dry, and the river gets so shallow you can walk across it. But in winter, it rains a lot, every day, non-stop. Look at that rain. Wow, it's just pouring down. We head back home in a downpour. Zay takes everybody. The church is empty now, and the oxen are getting onto the boat, ready for the big move. There they are. Ma and Pa have already taken everything out of the house and put it in Uncle Pedro's boat, even my guitar. Hey, careful with that table. Get yourselves ready, kids. We're leaving in 10 minutes. They have packed all their belongings onto the boat. It's like this every year. When the first rains come, the whole village moves. People take everything: stools, tables, chickens, oxen, hammocks. The only thing they leave behind are the houses themselves. Many hours later, the rain stops and we reach dry land. We unload everything from the boat and put it on the ox cart. We still have a long road ahead. In the middle of the rainforest, Pa always finds a good spot, someplace sunny and close to an igarape. That's a kind of waterway. Ma and Ine arrange our things and the food while Pa and I fetch wood to build our house. After the walls have gone up, the women gather a load of straw to make a roof, which we will tie together nice and tight so that not a drop of water will come in. That's when Ine realizes, we've forgotten someone. Ma, she cries, we need to go back for Titi. Too late now, child, says Ma. Not till summer's come again. That night, Ine is sad. Titi's going to starve, Kawa, she says to me, and he doesn't know how to swim. I wish we could go fetch him. So I think for a moment, and then I have an idea. Hey, I've got it. Let's sneak out right now. The sun is just starting to rise as we untie the boat. We row all day long. At the end of the day, we arrive at the village. Look at all the water in the village now. Wow. That's their school, and it's on stilts, so it's still above the water line, but the water is so deep now, the river is. When we reach the house, Titi is alive on the roof, but behind him, there's a giant anaconda. Don't go, Kawa, cries Ine. That snake's going to eat you. I've got to save Titi, he's going to die, I say, climbing up on the roof. I don't know how it happens, but when I jump back into the boat with Titi in my arms, the queen of the jungle gets all tangled up. So that's how we save Titi. He's happy, and we are even happier than he is. Of course, we don't know how mad our parents are going to be when they see us. And that's the end. And this is about the Tapajos River. And many people live along the banks of the Amazon's rivers. And their day-to-day lives are totally different from those of people in the cities. They live in houses built on stilts. They sleep in hammocks, and instead of using cars and buses, they get around by boat. In the flooding season, a lot of people need to move, and even the schools get shut down. Children make the most of this time by playing soccer and having fun, just as in any other part of Brazil. All right, we are done with our Day 3 stories from South America, and now I want to know, what did you want to eat for lunch? And what animal did you most want to see in South America? I'm going to reveal the things that I wanted to eat and see. I wanted to have arroz con chorizo for lunch, and I wanted to see a capybara. Did we want to see and eat the same things today? Well, tomorrow is day 4 of our virtual vacation, and we are going to visit Africa. So I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye!